You're listening to the Masonic Light Podcast. Starring Pete Ruggieri, Larry Maris, and Jason Lewis. This podcast is not endorsed by any Grand Lodge, and the ridiculous ramblings of the hosts are their own. So sit back and enjoy some Masonic conversation without pretension. And now, here's your hosts, Pete, Larry, and Jason.
Hey, everybody. We're here at episode 17 of the Masonic Light Podcast. This is Pete, and I'm here with our regular crew of Jason.
Hello. How are
Jack.
Hey.
And Larry.
And Larry. And so this is sort of a continuation of our last show. Jason, what was the reason? The Masonic calendar versus our calendar?
So we've never really put this out there, but we have been releasing on a Masonic calendar. So we've been releasing episodes on the first and third Monday of the month. So we actually pre-released. Anybody? No?
It was a premature release. There you go.
Thank you.
I roll.
Bump. Yeah.
But the Halloween release, which was the fifth Monday, we should have waited to launch episode 16 a week later and gave our listeners a warning.
Well, that's okay.
I'm letting that go.
It happens to everybody.
Any other time, you guys would have been all over that. So in order to not have a huge unexpected gap in our releases, we decided to do episode 17 or 16B.
Our fan becomes Ruly if there's not an episode.
You know, and I have had a couple more fans contact me and say, when are you guys going to release episode 9? Did you guys stop doing it? And I'm like, oh, well, we changed RSS feeds, I guess, when we left the real studio.
Yeah, that was episode 10.
Yeah, so if you go on iTunes, do a brand new search for us and subscribe, or you can subscribe on Google Play Music.
Which had 0 listens. But if you're an iTunes listener,
I've listened there, so you should have one.
You're going to have to look at that. The iTunes feed, if you are subscribed to the old one and you've never deleted that subscription, you should delete that subscription and do a new search.
Okie doke.
There you go.
But if you go to MasonicLight.com, they're all on there.
Yep.
So what else? So we're going to do a little recap. We've actually been doing a lot of Masonic stuff since our last
there's
show.
A lot of, we decided to not do some content last week or last episode even, so there's tons of stuff to talk about.
All right, so Jason, tell us a little bit, or actually we'll go to Jack. He's been quiet. Jack, tell us a little bit about your week.
Our Masonic week? What was this? Oh, well, following up to the conversation about one-day classes, we had the first mentoring night at my lodge for all the one-day wonders, and out of 6 that went through the one-day class, one of them showed up for mentoring. So that was really exciting, to commit my time at night to go through this stuff with these guys and not have them show up. So that was really cool. So that was my Masonic week.
Was that pretty good percentage, though, for your lodge?
Well, I think that works out to, 18%, which is better than we get at a stated meeting. So, yeah, okay. And certainly better than an extra meeting where there's nobody on the sidelines.
And Larry, you and I have been doing a lot of eating.
Yes, we have.
A lot of Masonic eating. We had a Tall Cedars meeting.
Yes, we did.
So give a little recap on the Tall Cedars.
Well, it was the usual Tall Cedars meeting. Actually, it was good. Great company. We had a nice turnout. We had an orchestra or a band there, whatever you want to call them, and good food. But it was your typical, and I already cleared this with the table that I was sitting at. It was your typical Tall Cedars meeting. Unfortunately, when they introduced the various officers and their ladies, oh God, I sent you a text on that, remember?
Yeah, I got it.
You can't repeat it. But it was usual Tall Cedars. Oh God, they had a name for it in the military. I can't recall it. But anyway, it was very interesting. It was typical Tall Cedars meeting.
I think snafu is the one you're looking for.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, exactly.
Yeah,
situation normal, yes. Okay. And but it was good. It was very nice.
Okay.
We had cedar sap. We had a lot of it there. We had wine. It was awesome.
And Bob was very excited. Bob Maurer, who's one of our regular breakfast guys. He's 83.
Yep.
He looks actually young for his age, but he looked kind of like a little bit sad. And like my wife asked him if he wanted to dance, and he was very, very happy. And he said this was the first time he's danced since his wife passed away, like in
really?
2008. So
Really?
You know, true story. One of the reasons that I brought my daughter to that Tall Cedars meeting where we were, High 12.
High 12.
Right, was to check out Bob because I've been debating introducing him to my mother-in-law. True story, Bob. I'm sure
Really?
I'm sure you're not listening, so don't get your hopes up.
Yeah. Next, the Masonic singles. We're going to have. Gosh.
But my mother-in-law, she's a wonderful lady. She's single. Bob's single.
Okay.
There's almost 20 years between them, so.
Oh yeah, that's a lot. That's a big spread.
Wow, she's almost 100. That's nice.
Yep, she's almost 100.
That's incredible.
So then I had our Lamberton banquet for Lamberton Lodge. That was last night, and we had at this little place called the Gypsy Kitchen. Picture like a miniature Hogwarts, like where they have the dining hall, and really pretty building. It was awesome food. Larry, you and Carol scared me because you said you didn't enjoy the food the past couple times.
That's right.
The food was delicious, so bad. I mean, so good that I got gout for the first time.
Too much pork.
Yeah, so I've been on ibuprofen all day.
That's the scrapple. Come on.
Yeah. So I think that's probably it Masonically that we've had going on.
Yeah. Goose and Gridiron. And the one-day class, I mean, that we've been talking about for the last several episodes. I don't think anything else crazy.
We had our lodge meeting at Lamberton last Tuesday,
Right.
but I didn't make that. And it was really nice from what I understand. They Veterans Appreciation Night. And I think the guys that showed up, I think about 80% of the members that were there were veterans, which they did a great ceremony.
Did we... No, we talked about Grotto at the last podcast, right?
Yeah. There's no need to bring that disaster up.
Disaster.
We'll talk about it at the end because we have some stuff coming up for Grotto I can talk about.
Oh, La Cabra. We had whiskey.
Oh, yeah. Heavens,
yeah,
yes.
the
I knew there
distillery.
was something, but I was kind of foggy about it.
Yeah. So if you've been a listener since the beginning, we were talking stuff about wanting to start a Masonic themed social club here in Lancaster County. And we did it. We filed all the paperwork, and we're a legal 501c7 social club. We did leave the Masonic affiliation out of the official wording on anything legal because a couple well-learned brothers said that if you're a Masonic club in Pennsylvania, and you could actually fall under the jurisdiction of the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania. So besides we didn't want the oversight, we just didn't want anybody poking in our business unless they're a member. So, we just changed the bylaws. You have to be a man of good standing who stood in the certain corner of a certain room.
But and the Knights of Columbus applications are just rolling right in.
Yeah, so so here's the problem. We need money. We have a lot of guys that want to join, but we don't have a building.
So send cash.
So if they're out there, there's a brother somewhere who is flush with cash, and you want to be our angel investor and send us $20,000 so we can buy a clubhouse where we can sit and drink.
$20,000 and $100 to cover my dues.
Yes. But yeah,
We'll name the kegerator after you. Yeah.
the third urinal will be named after you. So we had a meeting this weekend. We met at a local micro distillery called Thistle Finch Micro Distillery, and they share a building with a place called Wacker Brewing, which is they just came back in the area, but 100 years ago it was like a really big brewery. Now it's just a little micro that kind of like bogarted the name. But so yeah, we got a good tour. We sampled a lot of booze.
Oh, yeah.
And we made $70.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we made it was a good fundraiser. So I think if we go to 200 more distilleries, mathematically we should have enough.
This
capital.
is kind of like Two Broke Girls. Is that it's like
Yeah.
Two Broke Masons? All right.
Yeah. So,
But it was a lot of fun. Good distillery.
It was a great tour. They were very friendly, and the stuff was delish. And
Scott Hoover tried a. Well, his mom was there last night at the banquet.
Oh yeah.
And so she knows.
All right.
He fessed up. He's like 60, and he fessed up that he had a drink of alcohol.
When, at the tour?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
One of those little specimen cups. He took a sip and then gave me the rest.
Wow. Well, good for him.
But probably the coolest thing that came out of our little event, one of the brothers that showed up, a brother Ron, our RC, we call him. I guess he goes by his initials. Apparently, he listens to our show. And
He's the one. Attaboy.
yes, and he listens to our show. And while he is a large man, he's actually quite reserved and quiet. Maybe I would even say shy. He'll probably rebut this later. But he goes, "Hey, I want to be on your show." I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we can always have you as a guest." And since this is audio, I'll describe. I mean, RC is a man of color, and so like that'd be a great topic. Like Black Masons joining mainstream lodges, and we could have a little talk there. He goes, no, I don't mean that. I mean, I want to be on the show. Like, I want to be like, well, what do you want to do? He goes, well, I want to do interviews. I want to be the brother on the street. So we're going to have that segment, and it's going to be awesome. What makes it even better is he plays bass guitar. So I told him he's got to come up with a cool little riff intro.
Oh, nice.
So
His own little Seinfeld.
Yep.
It should be fun. He's a really, really nice guy.
Yep. So that's
Now, should we discuss his breach of his oath and obligation at the one-day class now, or do we have to wait till he comes on the show?
I think you should roast him when he gets on the show.
Yeah, let's save it for
that.
that. But let's just say you should not have your camera out during degree work.
Nope.
Or you may get dragged into the preparing room.
In the principal's office.
They made him expose all his film. So.
Give me your phone. Give me your phone.
Pretty much, yeah. He got shook down. But anyway, Muscovites. The Muscovites thing happened.
Yeah, so you have to go fill us in on these Muscovites, because I didn't go.
So the Muscovites, and you know what? We're gonna have Seth Anthony probably phone in a little blurb about this, but I'll do my best in the meantime. So the Muscovites degree, they were a side appendant body of Oddfellows, and in the late 1800s, they were just as philanthropic as they were crazy. So late 1800s, they get booted out because they were too nuts. They try to come back, and they get healed, I guess, or whatever you would call it, in the early 1900s, but they didn't have enough members to survive. So a few years ago, a Oddfellows group in, I believe, Portland, decided they found the last living member of the Muscovites, and he still had some ritual. He got together with them, and they modernized it, and they brought back this Muscovites degree, just a degree. So there's charters, but there's no meetings, there's no dues. It's just a degree to be done for fun, and everybody who gets a charter agrees that it's open to any kind of fraternal organization. So it's based in Russia, here in the Tsar's court, and it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of yelling and screaming. Imagine like organized Grotto. That's kind of the idea of an organized Grotto degree. And but we put the candidates to work. They have to solve a puzzle, and they get set up for failure, and so we laugh at them at their expense.
I'm actually reading a book right now on the Romanov family, like the Tsar family. Right?
Really?
And it's a huge, thick tome. And it goes back to like 1619 when the first Mikhail was made Tsar, and I'm going to redub it 50 Shades of Red.
Nice,
because there was some dirty folks in that Moscow thing going on there. There was some nasty stuff happening.
So we've already
all up and down.
Nice. We've already been asked to do it again. So I think Seth is working on another fundraiser for us to go do it. I believe in York. It was a lot of fun. We had the DMLA kids. The money went to DMLA. We raised $300-400 for them. They served us dinner, like a Russian style dinner. We all sat at the Tsar's table,
but there was no vodka.
There was no vodka. There was vodka afterwards, but one of the kids spilled soup. Yeah, one of the serving kids. So
was it borscht?
No, it was.
What kind of Russian?
It was a seafood stew.
No vodka, no borscht.
Stroganoff.
But to kind of set the pace, I mean, he spilled the soup, and I was a guard, and Dave LeBob was a guard, and we both stood up, and everybody was yelling, behead him. So this poor kid had no idea it was coming. But I basically shoved his head onto the dinner table, and Dave came up and pretended to cut his head off. And,
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Well, we need more of that.
Yeah.
I know, right? Beat up these kids.
Nice. Youth
All right.
groups. Come join us.
We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to discuss something different.
Hey, Pete.
Hey, Jason.
Guess what I still like?
You still like coffee?
I still like beef jerky.
Oh, damn it.
But thanks to our good friends at Pure Water Technology, not to be confused with Pure Water Technologies.
Yeah, it's just pure water technology.
Yeah,
There's
pure
no
water technology.
IES.
There's only one of them.
Yes.
Yeah, there's only one. They were so kind that I was able to sample their coffee at my home office.
And I did too at my dining room table.
Yeah, in fact, we're enjoying it right now.
It's good stuff. Even though my next step is we have to get a one of their fancy water conditioner thingies.
Yes, we do. And they're still our sponsor, so we thank them very much.
So yeah, check it out. Pure Water Technology, coffee, water. I don't know what else.
What
That's
else
it.
do they do?
Technology.
That's purewaterpa.com, and they can be reached at 888-581-PURE.
And just tell them you heard about it here on Masonic Lake Podcast, and you will get a free sip of water. All right, so we're back, and Larry,
Yes.
I have no idea what I'm talking about. What are we talking about next?
What are we talking about next?
Cubs.
So one thing I forgot to talk about was last weekend while we were not doing a show, I was actually up in New England. I was at the New England Grotto Association, which is NEGA. And of course, immature guys like us could not help but say, hey, where are we going?
Have you seen The Walking Dead?
Yes. Yeah. So there we go. So it was a fun time. A typical Grotto Association meeting of just a mixture of boring old guys with a sprinkling of young troublemakers. And it worked out really well because one of the young troublemakers, Brian from Grotto, he got elected to be vice president. And he is like us, I would say. Like he makes their...
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Old and fat?
He's actually young. He's young and, I mean, a little overweight, but he's not fat. No Dunlop. And but I got a good interview from him that you're going to splice in here, and you may be able to tell from the dialogue there may or may not have been alcohol involved. Live now. Let's get the...
Are we live now? Are you sure?
We're pretty sure.
Okay.
All right, so this is Pete from Masonic Lake Podcast, and I'm with a bunch of degenerates.
Yes.
Bunch-
Deplorables.
Deplorables from Grotto. So introduce yourselves for me, please.
I am John Campbell from Grotto.
All right, and you're the designated driver.
Designated driver, Mike Dumas.
So Mike's the responsible one here today.
Yes, very responsible.
And we have our newly elected first vice president of the New England Grotto Association. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So this is Brian.
I mean, no, that's
Past
I
monarch.
am Brian. No, I'm not past. I get another week.
Okay. Almost past monarch of Grotto.
Yeah, we got to go clamming for our installation, so we can have a lot of clams there.
You guys don't have the really harsh New England accent.
Oh,
Is that closer to Boston? You
No,
guys don't have that.
Well, that's fake assholes. But
Yeah, exactly. I was born in California.
can you edit?
Okay, I can add that. There's a filter.
Can you edit?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, you're good then.
We got a pack of
it's-
cards.
It's great to get the New England Grotto Association. We get
What,
together and
That was that was verbal cursive. It was just
yes.
all
it happened so fast.
okay.
So we do it in New England fast.
We show up, we dig up our past monarchs, and they show up to this thing in the green jackets, and Victor's here.
They shot
so
Clark.
I guess Victor's dead.
Victor is he's dead to me. But he's,
Oh!
no.
Well, he might be dead.
So you guys are going back home. So tell us, okay, you have here's a serious question. You have Masonic Con coming up.
Yes.
Tell our 8 listeners about what Masonic Con is.
Well, in fairness, it's something that we allow lowlifes to vendor and sell things like scarves and other Masonic gifts. And last year we had 400 Masons come through. This year we're expecting it's kind of like 600.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're probably at least at 6.
There's quite a bit. We've been
tell
asked.
the other 7 listeners, since one of them is here, that Masonic Con is going to be happening in April.
April
We're very
29th.
excited about
April 29th. In December, following Grand Constitutions, we will send out our invitations to the other Grand Lodges.
And that's in North Attleboro, Massachusetts.
No, just regular Attleboro.
Yes.
Okay.
North Attleboro is north of regular Attleboro.
Wow, that makes sense.
Yeah, well,
Yes, weird. Thus in the name.
you know, we're pretty good at math now. It's
Directions.
And you guys are going to put on a Grotto degree, apparently.
That's what we found out today. There will be a ceremonial. Really not
We
sure
are
how that's going to
super
go.
excited about
You
this.
know,
So maybe if we
I can fill a part.
So maybe if we can get Master Masons from anywhere, we can make them Grotto members.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. And
I did get a little interview that you can plug in here in a second of a gentleman who is, I believe, 90 years old.
Oh yeah. That's a great interview.
Yeah, so he is a past monarch of his grotto, but he is a longtime Navy guy. So he kept telling sea stories.
Yeah.
And the only one I could recorded was the only clean one. So Larry, you were in the Navy, so how does every good sea story start?
Hell if I know. I was in naval aviation. We didn't have sea stories.
Oh, he goes, "This is no shit," and then he'd tell you the story.
Oh, okay.
So basically, I learned if somebody starts off the story that this is no shit, there's no semblance of truth that is going to be in the story whatsoever.
We should just play it. It's too good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the stories got better after that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and play that interview for you.
All right, great.
All right, I'm here with Prophet Donald Burroughs, past monarch. Prophet Donald, where are you from?
There was someone else.
Bronx, New York, originally.
Okay, what you're a past monarch of what grotto?
Monco Grotto in Norwalk, Connecticut.
And what year did you join Grotto? Do you remember? If you don't
About,
remember, say Masons. What year did you join the Masons?
well, say 30 years ago.
Oh, okay, not long. Not long. And we're in a big Navy town. So the guy said that you're a Navy veteran. So what was your job in the Navy?
In the beginning, I was a torpedoes mate, bosun mate striker. Then I went to sublant. I was a torpedoes mate striker. Then I went to, while I was in sublant in a reserve component, I worked in an electric boat on the Nautilus for 10 months.
That was Captain Nemo's boat.
Yes.
Right. All right, yeah.
Then I shipped out in the merchant service for, I had 5 years sea duty, and then I went in the regular Navy and stayed there until 1993.
Okay. So how many dives? They were saying you like 100 and some dives?
Well, that's when I was a kid on the fleet type boats.
Okay. Very neat. So what was the... did you run into any kind of like Freemasonry stuff on the boats?
Not really,
Not
not
really?
in them days.
Okay.
Yeah. Later on, it became more prevalent.
Okay. What was your favorite port worldwide?
Havana, Cuba. Probably 55.
So that was like the Vegas of the Caribbean at the time, right?
Right.
So no laws.
Well, I remember drinking schooners of beer and sloppy joes, and they had, I don't know, 20-foot ceilings, and 3 foot was open at the top holding the roof.
Okay.
And we had these parrots going by, and they'd drop bombs in your schooners, and you drink them.
Well, everybody, if you're check your beer before you drink it. That's what we learned from that last little interview.
What's a schooner?
That's a big, tall glass.
Larry, you're like 12 feet away from the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a big, tall glass.
Like if the only reason you couldn't get further away is this room is only the room's only 9 feet wide. Like,
It's comfortable back here.
Yeah. Here at Monarch Studios.
Pure Water Technologies provides state-of-the-art drinking water systems and coffee systems for businesses in central Pennsylvania, northern Maryland, and northern Delaware. They eliminate the hassles and liability of bottled water systems for businesses of all sizes and shapes, and pride themselves on being a simple, better experience for their customers. They are known for prompt service, great tasting water and coffee, and their friendly staff. For qualified businesses, they're willing to offer a free trial so that people can taste the difference for themselves. For more information, please call 888-581-7873 PURE or visit www.purewaterpa.com and mention that you heard this ad for your free trial.
Hey, we're back.
We do have to thank our listeners, though, because we got a lot of feedback about that last episode being one of our best, and this one is equally falling apart. Right. So I wonder if this one's going to be...
Maybe when we're just completely haphazard is what people like, because it shows you that we're not your elitist, uppity Masons.
Aim low and exceed your expectations.
Yes.
I would love for us to have a camera to actually video record us doing an episode, and then people see the recording, hear what goes on, see it.
Larry, we only have one advertiser right now. Let's not scare them away by showing what we look like.
And then play the actual.
Let's not ruin the myth. Come on.
Unbelievable.
Well, luckily we've emailed like every Grand Lodge in the world, so maybe they'll chip in and help.
So Larry.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so we have a private group on Facebook for the hosts. And
that's how we stay unorganized.
Yeah, and I see Larry goes, our last episode was phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
And so I've just...
Phenomena.
Thank
you for catching that.
So he goes, I emailed every Grand Lodge and what? To let them know about our show. I don't know if
we're underground, Larry.
I don't know whether we're we're not polished enough for that yet.
Oh, yeah, we are. We have people, I know they're listening. We can see that by the statistics that we get. So, and I do know that we have listeners. We have listeners in Glasgow. So, and there's some towns too. I don't have any clue where they are in the UK, whether they're in Wales or Scotland, who knows. But we have people listening. So I go and actually... we have been cleared every time I post it. Even I sent it to France, and in Glasgow, of course, in English, Inglés. I don't know how the hell I pronounce it, but anyway, yeah. Anyway, I sent it to France. They sent a note back in French saying,
fungal.
No.
Okay.
I mean, is the
It's part of our overall marketing.
I'm sure the Grand Lodge is going to push that down as a official communication to their individual. Listen to Masonic Light Podcast.
So, Jason,
Grand Secretary.
Jason, here
they are fantastic. They are phenomenal.
Jason, you had a good experience. We almost kind of brushed by this. You were at the one-day class up in Harrisburg, and you took the opportunity to get into the shrine that day.
I did, yeah. I think we should recap on the one-day class conversation because we talked about it so much, and then we had a heated discussion about it, and then it finally happened. And so, were you in Reading?
I was.
You were in Reading, and I was in Harrisburg. But yeah, I got stranded. But
how many were in the one day? Where you were
in Harrisburg?
Yeah.
There had to be near 100. It was pretty.
And most of them went the Scottish Rite because I remember there was a big Scottish Rite class too.
There was a huge Scottish Rite class, yeah. So
That was a money day for the Grand Lodge, wasn't it?
cha-ching.
We don't discuss money.
We don't.
Yeah,
It's not about the money, Larry.
No.
But so if you're not from the area, in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, there is our Valley of Harrisburg Scottish Rite facility, and then its parking lot just blends and turns into Zembo Shrine's parking lot.
Yeah.
But even though they're both Masonic and it's made up of all the same guys, they really are two separate everythings. So, how many of you guys went over to get your shrine?
Well, I would say that there was, 100 guys for Blue Lodge, maybe 80 guys, so 80% for Scottish Rite, and about 20%, if that. Well, you know what? That doesn't even count because that's a hard number because you had a lot of new Blue Lodge Masons, but then you also had a lot of brothers that were already
Like you,
Master
you
Masons,
yes.
right, who went up to get into the Scottish Rite. So the Scottish Rite class, was probably even bigger than the Blue Lodge because there was a lot of, already Master Masons in there. But there's only about 20 Shrine guys that were.
So you guys had. So tell us about the buses that went up.
Yeah, so we had this great, masterful appearance rolling into Harrisburg. So the first Masonic district, which is 10 different lodges. And side note, the reason we're called the first Masonic district is because James Buchanan, out of Lodge 43, complained that there was no, field assistance out in the country lodges. So we became the first district with a district deputy. So side note, over. Our district deputy wanted us all to run up in buses together, right? All to show up in force and avoid any kind of, cluster.
Traffic snafus,
Yeah,
right,
traffic
yeah.
snafus. So, some of us met at the Masonic Center at 5 a.m. so we could ride up to
Harrisburg.
E-Town. So
Oh.
we caught the Masonic Villages buses. We had to be there at 5:45, and then we ended up in Harrisburg at 6:30. I might be off by an hour.
You had to drive 35 minutes to get on the bus to take you the next 30 minutes.
So
to
once
drive all the
again,
way
you can
there.
see how well organized
Yeah.
This is why we're not allowed to run the world anymore.
I know. We gave it up.
So we get up to E-Town, and the lobby's filled, and we weren't organized by our districts, but we all managed to get together and find our candidates, and then we rode up to Harrisburg together. So the idea was two buses up, one bus down in the afternoon after Blue Lodge, and the other bus back home after
Shrine.
after Scottish Rite and Shrine, yeah. So, and it worked out pretty well. All the guys that wanted to go home in the afternoon got home. There was a couple guys that, where's Joe? Joe's in the bathroom. Let's go find Joe. But for the most part, it worked out. It worked out right. The bus was pretty full. I hear there was guys, standing and sitting on laps on the way home. So more people went home after the Blue Lodge degrees than stayed. So the shrine, again, two different buildings. So in the center of the consistory, you had tall cedars, you had a few other Masonic bodies that didn't have anything to do with the one-day class, but they kind of had their wares set up in their advertising. Well, the shrine had their table too, and they said, meet us at the table at 4 o'clock, and we're going to take you over to the shrine building. Well, I didn't think of this, and apparently I guess nobody else did either, but the shrine and the buses did not communicate. So they took us over to the building, and we were probably there for an hour and a half, and about halfway through, somebody says to me, hey, Jason, the bus is still here. And there was unfortunately no communication that we were still in need of a ride home. Everybody on the bus, nobody knew who was staying, and we got left behind.
Yeah, it's basically one step above like sending a raven. Like it's yeah, it's bad.
And the tough part was, if we ever do this again, obviously we've learned, it was a win. The Grand Lodge accomplished what they wanted. We got home. There was enough people to take us where we needed to be. Our principal of the school instruction circled back and was ready to come get us, but we all managed to find some rides home. So they weren't going to leave us just stranded. It is what it is. However, registration for Shrine and getting measured for our fezzes, it took an hour to get 20 people to sign the books, to get, measured for your fezzes, which is all stuff we could have probably done in the consistory throughout the course of the day.
Well, I think that's you should step in line and get on the divan.
Yeah, you start making suggestions, you're going to find yourself.
I
in
know,
a
you know, it's
committee.
funny because I've said before, you know, it's not worth complaining if you don't have an offered solution. But in the Masonic world, that means that
Nobody says anything.
nobody says anything because that it's immediate eye contact.
Well, good times.
But it was still a good day. I don't know if I feel the same or different about the one-day classes after actually seeing it. I think my one, and there's no other way that we could have done it, but my one, not complaint, but we did it in an auditorium, so it wasn't everybody sitting on the sidelines. It was the Blue Lodge was set up on stage, you know, and everybody watched from the perspective. Well, we were watching from, what is that, the north or the south? I'm drawing a blank. We were
North.
opposite. We were basically sitting in the north in an auditorium.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan. If you want to do a one-day class, it would be nice, much nicer if it was, you know, on the local level, like 5 or 10 candidates, and you can spend a day and have lunch and be a little more intimate. When you start getting up into like a regional and district and all these things, it's just, you know,
It was a
Well,
lot.
there was a book written, I think Robert Hurd, if you know Masonic.
what do you hear?
Hurd. Hurd.
Oh, I thought Robert heard something.
Robert Hurd. I think wrote the book. It's called it's the Initiatic Experience, and that's what this is supposed to be. It's an initiatic experience. It's a change, and I just don't believe that you get the same experience from an auditorium theater seat from 25 rows back. That the guy in front of the altar, you know, kneeling down in the condition that he's brought into, you know, from outside. I don't believe you get the same experience, and I don't think it's as meaningful. And more important, you don't spend 3 separate nights with the guys in the lodge, going through the degree, so you don't get to know them.
Well, and it goes even. Like one of the topics I'm going to have when RC and our other buddy Larry Hudson come on, because I want to ask. I was asking them, like, being black men, you know, how well are you accepted because we also have a Prince Hall Lodge that meets in our building, and they're pretty honest. They're like, you know, those guys don't think we know anything, and he goes, to be honest, we don't know anything.
Yeah, I agree.
And I, you know, like you give me your average Prince Hall brother. Just brother, not officer or anything. They typically have their act together Masonically way better than even like officers or maybe even a past master of a traditional lodge.
And that's true whether it's Prince Hall or a you know, Blue Lodge like we belong to. I mean, I think we have a few transfers from Maryland lodges that, you know, when they come to Pennsylvania, they go, "That's it." I mean, I think that's a Pennsylvania problem.
Okay. But yeah, I just feel like, you know, and maybe this is where like the Academy of Masonic Knowledge and some of these other things that we have in Pennsylvania that are optional, that more people should be taking advantage of.
Yeah, like in Pennsylvania, we basically let you in the door. We hand you the keys, right? In most of the other jurisdictions, they at least shove you down the hallway a little bit, right? They make you at least learn the oath and obligation and the catechism so that, you know, if you go to some other lodge, you don't look like a complete dope. But if all you do in Pennsylvania is get your degrees, receive them, you know, have them thrown at you, you don't have that. So I think I would just, you know, like to see more work.
And I'm a big fan of, you know, they always say, you know, are you a traveling man? Like, people need to travel. People need to go to other lodges, other jurisdictions, and just you know, take it on that you're part of something that's way bigger than your little lodge in your little town.
Sure.
And start learning more.
You know, in the last podcast, I, you know, painted the picture that pretty much okay, and I'm still okay with the one-day class. You know, especially if we were going to bring in brothers that we normally wouldn't be able to bring in. But I can't help, like you're saying, Jack, that feel that
they're gypped.
Yeah, and
gypped.
well, I don't. yes and no. I had an opportunity to talk to all 14 of our candidates, and every single one of them enjoyed themselves.
Well, sure.
Right. And I think that they had an opportunity to see a wonderful play that, if they don't come back to read the cliff notes, that they may not remember. Pennsylvania did a wonderful job executing it, but it was big.
I agree with that. It was well pulled off. It really was.
So if I were to sum up this conversation,
And you should.
if you go to a one-day class, do not take a bus.
Hey, Masonic Light listeners. Thanks for tuning in to yet again another episode of Masonic Light Podcast, episode number 17. If you haven't had an opportunity to call in, give us a shout at 315-596-2766. That's 315-59-MASON. You can also find us at iTunes, Google Play, Facebook, Twitter, MasonicLight.com, and SoundCloud. And lastly, we'd like to thank Pure Water Technology, our sponsor for episode 17. They provide the best coffee and water service for your office or place of employment. They can be found at purewaterpa.com.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. So we're going to kind of wrap up this episode, but we're going to talk a little bit about things that we have coming up. So, all the four guys at the table right here are in Grotto, and our grotto is called Ubar Grotto, and we are one of the...
We talking about my campaign?
Not yet.
Damn it.
We are one of the younger grottos. So we are going to be entering our 5th year.
How about now?
No. So, Wednesday night, we're actually going to have an officers meeting and try and plot what we're going to do for the next 5 years.
And just the very thought of having an officers meeting is anathema to Ubar Grotto.
That's a big word, and that's my stated meeting night.
Right. So chances of you getting elected are slim to none.
None.
So
Are my competitors going to be there?
no.
Okay,
I'm voting
good.
for Gary Johnson.
So you were just talking about, I think the mics might have been off, but we were just talking about, reaching out to the new members. And I think that's even in the appendant bodies. Like, we're getting a decent number of guys coming through in each class. Mm-hmm. But we just kind of, at least me, I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off being the head guy. But, that's something we should really talk about. Like, making those guys feel like they're part of this new, because this is a lot of these guys, their first time they're joining something that's bigger than just their lodge.
Yeah.
And it's like 4 or 5 counties wide. So, I think it's an opportunity.
Seth Anthony made a comment on one of our Facebook posts, and it made a lot of sense. I never really thought about that, but he had said that...
he occasionally makes sense.
He does, and he said that I'm a big fan of the appendant bodies, which, we all know. If you know Seth, he's in almost everything. But, find out what a man is interested in and, steer him. Obviously, you've got to steer him through Blue Lodge first, but, get him to a place that he's interested in, because obviously if he's involved in an appendant body, he's by default going to be involved in his Blue Lodge as well.
At least one day a year when he mails his check.
Well, but more so than if he was not plugged in at all.
Larry's 5 feet away from his microphone. Who knows what he's doing? The good news is
Mouthing the word money.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you're scared of that Masonic hit squad coming for you for calling them out.
The Grand Lodge of Belgium or something
The
is going to come get him.
Inquisition.
What a show!
So you're saying that reaching out extends beyond just Blue Lodge,
Yeah,
and really into the appendant bodies. And when you see a face that you don't know at a meeting that you've been going to for months and months or years and years, go over and stick your hand out and introduce yourself to that person.
because I will say, as much as we like to have fun with the Tall Cedars, that is a body where when we showed up, I would say almost every man and even a lot of the wives went out of their way to introduce themselves.
And you get a personal phone call from the Grand Tall every month, not a call 'em all, not an email, inviting you to dinner.
And
The women hug profusely.
that's a good thing.
And
why
now
Larry
we know
goes.
why you go.
So yeah.
Side note: don't
and-
ever take my wife.
And here's a funny thing. So apparently, I'm going to be running for junior grand tall, but our brother Chris Gibson, who would be the junior or the deputy grand tall, whatever, this year. And if you don't know Chris, he is just
He's phenomenal.
He is just
He's
the
the
nicest
nicest
human
guy
being
ever,
The
yeah.
nicest, like not even just a Mason.
Yeah.
He is just he's like a 50-year-old Boy Scout. Like he's just a
And in fact, he is. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So he got something confused, and he introduced me at the last meeting that I was going to be the new junior deputy tall seeker. But problem is I was never nominated or elected. So he kind of got called aside in one of their executive board meetings.
Oh,
you can't do that. And it's like, well, I wasn't sure, I didn't know, but yeah,
Aw.
yeah. So he got.
That's kicking a puppy right
It's
there.
like yelling at a
That's
kitten.
Yeah, that's not nice.
So, but yeah, like I say, they go way out of their way, and then also the
That's good.
officers.
They should.
Three different past officers came up to me because apparently, since I'm most likely going to be in the line, and offered me assistance, anything I need to get ready for my year.
That's great.
So, it is out there. So that's the kind of stuff I like about them. Even though they're kind of fuddy-duddy, I like fuddy-duddy once in a while.
No, they're a good group. I'm very excited about the degree later.
I brought my wife to the dinner. It's the first tall cedar function she's ever been to.
Did you hug
and
her?
She was welcomed, and she had a great time. She liked it. So
They're a
she'll be
good
back.
group.
Good group.
All right, so we got that. So we got our Grotto officers meeting. Jason will be running for Venerable Prophet, which is the number 4 chair.
Right.
You have 4 seconds to campaign.
So once a year. Oh, here?
Yeah, right.
Make
now.
Grotto get great again.
Timeout. All right.
All righty.
Nice.
It was never not great.
We also have on the show, let's talk a little bit about that. On the 14th, we're having a special guest, Russell W. Baker, Grand Almoner for the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania, retired Navy Chief Petty Officer. I call him Chief.
I think
And,
he was like an E9, so doesn't that like super master
Well,
everything
yeah,
chief?
Senior Chief, I believe it is, yeah.
And I think he was a command master chief. He wasn't for the whole United States, but he had the title for a little while, command master chief,
Okay, all right.
which is it's huge.
Yeah. Well, he had the gold stripes on his sleeve, and he had the 2 stars above the around on the eagle's head. Yeah.
Yeah, so
The illustrious.
and he is
He's
he was
illustrious
the
chief
former active 33rd for Pennsylvania.
Yep.
He's been in everything.
Yeah.
I think what I like the most about Russ Baker is his 3 different voices. He's got his normal Russ Baker voice, and then he's got his official Masonic voice,
And the Grand Marshal voice.
and then he's in the choir. He's
And
got
you're
his choir
really going to
voice.
have to tune into the show to hear which voice he will use.
Right.
Or will he use all 3?
Yeah, tune in on your radio dial.
Absolutely. Shortly,
listen to the tape.
Shortly after that, we've been invited to appear on the Brought to Light podcast in Australia. So we'll be tuning in and working with Brother Jack Aquilina in Australia. And we'll
on
be
the
a
short-
guest on his show
On the shortwave.
on a shortwave.
I think we need to
exactly.
be relatively serious on that one. The Christmas show is going to be an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
But I think that we're going to have to dial it back.
Yeah, those guys, I mean, they're a little bit more serious than we are.
No, their humor is dry. And if you're not Australian, I don't
should
think you
not
pick up
be.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dry.
I'm moist, so it's completely different.
It
And
is a
for
little
you,
balmy in here.
For you listeners in New York, will you please tell Barry Banks to call Larry? Thank you. He's
Does anybody want to take a stab
Barry
at that?
Banks is avoiding me.
Yeah, well, okay.
Maybe you should hashtag him.
Maybe I should #hashtag tic-tac-toe @ All right. So, Larry, are you going to do any rambling on the show?
I don't think so.
Well,
No,
don't we have what's going on this week? Don't we want to do
We just
our
did.
quick?
we
Did
just did it.
Yeah, like the week.
No,
coming up.
I think what Jason is alluding to is we're going to talk about what's happening on Saturday, and then at the next podcast, we'll talk about what happened on Saturday.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what's happening on Saturday?
Oh, just you know,
You're
what do you
taking
have this week?
A van load of Lancaster Masons are going funds to the Grand Lodge in Philadelphia.
Yeah, so we're going to Philly, and we're going to be conferring the first, second, and third degrees on a gentleman named Ethan, a young man going into the military, I believe.
Yes, Navy, I think.
Okay, and we're going to be in the Egyptian Hall.
Yes.
So, go on like Pennsylvania, PAGrandLodge.org.
It used to be. It's now pamasons.org.
Okay.
No, yes. PAmasons.org.
You are correct.
Yes. So go in there and try and find, I don't know where, I just know the old lodge, the old website. But somewhere on there's a tour of the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania.
Virtual tour, I think they call it.
And yeah, it is really one of the most beautiful places Masonically in the United States, if not the world. So we're going to be in the Egyptian room. And then we also heard that the Right Worshipful Grand Master of Pennsylvania may show up because he hangs out at the Grand Lodge on Saturdays.
Doesn't he live in Pittsburgh?
I don't know, but somebody told me he likes to hang out at the building on Saturdays when people are touring the building.
I mean, it's a cool building.
That would be awesome.
Go ahead, Larry. Close us out.
Okay, it's time for.
It's
All
going to
right.
hit Larry.
All right, I guess the banjo music is going to eventually be on here. Basically, just want to reiterate every time we get together, I like to thank Monarch Studios for allowing us to record here. I mean, the facilities are just grand, let me tell you. And I understand from the head of Monarch Studios that we may have an upgrade. More space downstairs, and wow.
Well, I heard
I'm
that
getting
remodeling.
excited,
Yeah,
excited.
we heard that Larry can go downstairs
Yes.
without falling.
Yes.
It's just maybe Jason will get in front of him and I'll get behind him and we can make sure he makes it downstairs safely.
I thought it was because this episode and last episode's sponsor gave us a nice influx of money. But thanks to our sponsors, Pure Water Technology.
There you go.
Won't the
And,
noise from the jacuzzi disturb the recording?
Possibly.
Also, special thanks to our fantastic producer, editor, Jason Lewis,
Heck yeah.
who never fails and produces a great show, let me tell you. Again, I'll say, if you've been here when we actually record this, you wouldn't say there's any way in hell we could get what we get out of it.
We love you, man.
Yeah, we do, Jason. And Jack Harley, our news director, he's
Who?
here. I get Jack Harley and Jack Nathan Aquilina confused.
Just
You know
Jack.
that.
Well, it's easy to do considering
And
it's
then the Jack
16
in
hours on the
Ireland,
road.
I get him confused too. Anyway, so we want to basically give thanks to all these great folks who participate and take part of the show.
All right, bye everybody. We're gonna see you in about. You're gonna hear us in about 2 weeks.
Peace.
That was the whole show.
Okay, somebody cue Pete.
I'm gonna wait till the thing stops scratching. It's like a horrible rap album.
Hey, Masonic Light listeners. Thanks for tuning in to another issue. What the fuck? It's an episode. Urgh. For what it's worth, when I edit this, when he says I have one final thought, I'm going to kick on the end music.
Yeah, there we go.
Also, too, I'm going to leave you with one final thought. To plan for tomorrow is...